Good to go. All right. Give it another minute or so. Give a minute or so here. All right, we'll go ahead and get started this morning. I hate to break up the good fellowship going on, but we're going to run out of time if I don't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if it wasn't, if the teacher wasn't so long-winded, Hey, I just pull pins on the hand grenades and toss them and let y'all and see what happens. That's all I do, man. That's all I do. All right. Well, we are in Daniel chapter 7. A little different setup this week. This will be put on our Facebook page, but it's being live streamed through the church's Facebook page right now with the camera because they said the sound is not very good in this big room with my setup. And when we get back to class in the classroom, which hopefully will be pretty soon, we'll go back to live streaming it like we normally do because it picks it up a little better in there because it's a smaller area. But until then, I'm going to be on stage for a little while. It's kind of weird being up here, sitting down, looking at everybody. I feel like I'm 100 miles away. All right, so we're in Daniel chapter 7 this morning. And here, the book of Daniel switches, starting in chapter 7, all the way to the end of the book, really. Now, we're talking prophecy from here on out. The prophecy we talk about this morning is pretty interesting. It goes along with the dream that King Neb has already had, right? We knew about the dream and the statue and the 4 levels of the statue that Daniel laid out for King Neb way back when. And this prophecy here continues to kind of build on that dream interpretation. So we'll go ahead and get rolling this morning. Eddie, would you open us in prayer, please? Amen. Thank you. Okay, so like I say, when you start chapter 7, from here on out, we're talking prophecy. It completely changes views for Daniel. Again, last week we finished up with Daniel having an issue with some of the other governors and people of the land, if you will. They did their best to get him killed, and we know how that turned out. Got thrown in the lion's den and didn't get eaten, right? God saved Daniel from shut the mouths of the lions. And again, when we switch here, we're going prophecy from here on out. So, starting chapter 7, starting in verse 1 here. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon. Okay, so right away, this first part of this verse tells you this dream that Daniel had here, or this vision, he had it while Belshazzar was king. And we remember what happened to Belshazzar, right? Handwriting on the wall. He's throwing a big party. Handwriting on the wall shows up. He freaks out, soils himself, gets the people together. They can't determine what it is, what the writing on the wall is. He calls Daniel. His queen mom says, hey, you need to get Daniel in here. Daniel comes in and interprets it, and the whole time Cyrus is coming under the walls after blocking up the river, right? So this vision, again, happens during that time. So Daniel saw a dream and visions of his head as he lay in his bed. Then he wrote down the dream and told the sum of the matter. Have y'all ever had a dream where you had to wake up and write it down so you didn't want to forget it? Right? I don't know why. I guess the older I get, I tend to dream a lot more. I had a crazy dream last night. It was kind of weird. But there's some dreams I remember. There's some dreams I don't want to remember. There's some dreams that I wake up and I do write down, or I'll put something in my phone to remind me of, hey, I want to remember this for later to be able to tell Vanessa and the girls about this dream I had, right? And Landry's always the one in our house. She's got, that poor child, I don't know what just goes on in her head at night sometimes. She dreams some stuff, and yeah, but she's always got she's got to come tell us. And it's detailed, but she's like I am. She doesn't leave out any details, right? I mean, it's, you got to have all the details. But anyway, like I say, Daniel, I mean, just showing here, Daniel's just a regular old person like we are, right? Have dreams, right? And Daniel immediately gets his dream, has his vision, and he writes it all down so he doesn't forget it. Because he knows, as we get into this dream here in a minute, you'll see it's a pretty crazy dream, and he knows it's from God, right? So, verse 2 there, Daniel declared, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven were stirring up the great sea. And four great beasts came out of the sea, different from one another. I don't know about y'all, but this is kind of sounding like a nightmare to me. Daniel calls it a dream or a vision, but I mean, I'm thinking, man, if I woke up, if I was starting to have this dream, I would be begging to wake up. Number 4 here, verse 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Then as I looked, its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the ground and made to stand on 2 feet like a man. And the mind of a man was given to it. Again, you look at this and think about Daniel dreaming this, and think about ourselves having this dream. Seeing this lion, and all of a sudden the lion's got wings. And all of a sudden they're plucked off, and this lion's dropped down and like a man and walking around like a man on 2 feet, And behold, another beast, a second one like a bear. It was raised up on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And it was told, arise, devour much flesh. After this, I looked, and behold, another like a leopard with 4 wings of a bird on its back, and the beast had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, terrifying and dreadful, and exceedingly strong. It had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke in pieces, and stamped what was left with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots. And behold, this horn were eyes like the eyes, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. Again, when we look at this and we know the dream that he's already interpreted for King Neb, right? And you can kind of see where this is still kind of along those lines. We're talking different groups of people coming in and conquering stuff, probably. Right? We know that King Neb's time is already done. It's already over. Medo-Persians are in control now. Well, they're fixing to be, because this is still during the time of Belshazzar. So that group is coming in. And then we know Greeks and Romans still have to come, according to the prophecy, the original prophecy of the statute, right? And so, again, when you start looking at prophecy, again, as I said before, Daniel links well with Revelation, okay? And there's some things that go on in Revelation that Daniel answers. Some questions we have in Revelation that Daniel answers, right? And again, that's why they're so linked together. And when you read this reads a lot like Revelations. Beasts coming up out of the water. You got a bear coming out with ribs in his mouth. You got lions with wings. You got leopards with 4 wings, and it's moving around swiftly, and it had dominion for a while. And then you have the last beast that had iron teeth and devoured everything and broke it into pieces and just shattered and stamped out everything. And the 10 horns. And I don't know about y'all, but I think, again, this reads more like a nightmare to me. If I dream about a horn having eyes and talking. But again, this is, Daniel knows, he kind of already knows what's going on here. And as we go on, God's going to tell him exactly in the dream, he's going to tell him exactly what the vision was. Right? And that's the way God works with Daniel. Every time Daniel has a dream or a vision, God interprets it for him. Whereas we don't see that with King Neb. We don't see that with Belshazzar. Right? They have to call Daniel in to interpret it all. And again, I don't know. What do y'all think Daniel's thinking right about now? Wishes he could wake up. Absolutely. Absolutely. But at the same time, I don't know that he is. Knowing Daniel's mind, I don't know that Daniel's wanting to wake up. I think Daniel's kind of looking around, thinking, okay, yeah, this is kind of weird. It's kind of maybe a little scary, right, seeing some of this stuff. But at the same time, he's got to know that this is from God, and God's got something for him to say with this or spread with this, which is prophecy.
It'd also be like John in Revelation.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of like the early John getting this from God. And, in faith, knowing it's from God. And John, Revelations, he had to have faith to know it was from God.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you think about all the stuff that Daniel sees and then all the stuff that John sees. John sees, a bunch of cool stuff. And it's all kind of linked together, like I say, with Daniel. as you go on, verse 9 here, as I looked, thrones were placed, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was as white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was fiery flames, its wheels were burning fire. A stream of fire issued and came out from before him. 1,000 thousands served him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court sat in judgment, and the books were opened. Again, we're going through Revelation right now. Have we already kind of talked about that a little bit that Pastor's gone over with us? Again, that's why you can see how closely linked these books are. And I always like that term, Ancient of Days. What do you think about when you hear Ancient of Days? Majestic. Absolutely. And we know Ancient of Days is who? God. Jesus, right? Took his seat at the head of the table. Verse 11 here. I looked, then because of the sound of the great words that the horn was speaking. And as I looked, the beast was killed and its body destroyed and given over to be burned with fire. As for the rest of the beasts, their dominion was taken away, but their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. So my question was this week, or I thought a lot about it when I looked at this, the last beast, iron teeth, destroying everything, it was killed, body destroyed, burned up in fire. But the rest of the beasts, their lives were prolonged for a season at a time. Why do you think that was? Let's hear it. God's plan. That's a great, and again, like I say, the thing with prophecy, and a lot of people don't like prophecy, and it's kind of confusing sometimes. The thing with prophecy is this, in the way I read it and understand it, whatever it says here, it happened. We don't need to try to add. There's a lot of people that take prophecy and read into it a lot of things that aren't there. They try to pull stuff out of it and say, well, this says this, but it really means this. And I'm like, why confuse everybody? It's prophecy. This is going to happen. We know it's going to happen. It's already. Absolutely. That's a great point. It was, and when you look at the fourth beast, what do you think that? We hadn't gotten to it yet. We're fixing to, but what do you think the fourth beast was? It's Rome. The fourth beast is Rome. Right. That's a great point. Yeah. I didn't think about that this week, but that's a great point. You're exactly right. They're getting a little more powerful and evil, like you say, as each one of them keeps coming out of the water, right? And so that could be too why they did that. And again, I just throw that question out because I'm just curious about it, and it doesn't matter in the whole scheme of things. Because bottom line, it's just exactly what Eddie said. It's God's plan. We're just along for the ride, right? And so, but it's just something I always think something crazy like that. But the, and just I wonder why things happen this way and not another way. But again, it's God's plan. That's just not my spot to question or anything. It's just a thing that, hey, it doesn't, it's just something to think about. But the, again, like I say, as you go on, you look, the first beast is obviously King Neb, Babylonians. Second beast is Medo-Persia. And again, some of the scholars say that that the bear raised up on its side, again, you got ribs coming out of its mouth, again, because there was kind of a power struggle there, right, between Medo and Persia. They were together, but there was also a power struggle within that organization going on, because like we talked about last week, King Cyrus was the king, and he conquered Babylon and then went out and kept conquering stuff and left Darius, yes, in charge of what was going on in Babylon. And Darius was the one that had to put Daniel in the pit and all that kind of stuff when he was fooled by the rest of his governors and all that. But and they talk about the jaguar, or the jaguar, or the leopard. I'm sorry, leopard with the four wings. That's Greece because of how swift. I just lost the Greece. Who's the Greece conqueror? There you go, Alexander. How fast he moved, and because he conquered everything, or conquered a majority of the area in like 10 years, faster than any other king. And but again, we're going to see that here in a minute as we keep going on. But now let's go to verse 13 here. So after the trial, the judgment has happened. The beasts have been given their due. And then starting in 13 here. I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, there came one like a son of man. And he came to the Ancient of Days and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. Amen and amen and amen. It doesn't say that, but I can't read that without saying that. But when you look at, again, the Son of Man, who's the Son of Man? Jesus. When you look at the Gospels, how many times did Jesus call himself the Son of Man? A ton. This was his favorite term for himself, right? When you go and look at Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Jesus uses the term Son of Man a lot to describe himself, right? And the most important, is when he's on trial. He's on trial before the Jews. The Jews first off ask him, finally somebody comes out and asks him, are you the Son of God? Are you the Blessed One, right? And Jesus' response is, I am, which automatically connects him to prophecy of the Old Testament back to the burning bush with Moses, because when Moses talks to the burning bush and asks, God's telling him through the burning bush, hey, you're going to go and you're going to gather up the people and you're going to be the leader and you're going to go do this and this and this. And Moses asked him, well, who should I say is sending me? I am, was the response. So Jesus, not only in his response to the trial, at the trial, right, he gives them, I am, and then he turns around and immediately says, and starts quoting this right here. And behold, with the clouds of heaven, there came one like a son of man. And again, why do you think he answered that way at his trial? Exactly. The Jews knew this prophecy. Those on trial putting Jesus on trial, they knew the Old Testament. They knew Genesis. They knew Moses and the burning bush. They knew Daniel chapter 13, or verse 13 right here in chapter 7. They knew this. And when Jesus quoted this to them, back to them, and answered both times in the affirmative, they didn't want to hear it, first off, right? So they went ahead and put him on the cross anyway and had him beat. But again, it had to happen. His beating and his trial, him being on the cross and the scourging and all that stuff was already prophesied. So it had to occur. He just used the circumstances of the Jews and put him on trial to do that. Right?
Well, isn't he, if I remember, the first part of Daniel chapter 6, it was towards Gentile, or it was towards Gentiles, and then the seventh through the end is directed towards the Jews.
Mm-hmm. That can be, yeah. Actually, it's direct. 1 through the first 6 chapters can be directed to either Gentile or Jew. But it's, from here on out, from 7.8, it's really directed more toward the Jews. Because they're the ones that know the prophecy, right? And again, when you look at all this, again, that's the reason why, I just lose the name of the high priest, Caiaphas. That's why Caiaphas went nuts when Jesus answered this way. He immediately started tearing his clothes and standing up and calling blasphemy and everything else because he knew what was in Daniel. He knew who Jesus was equating himself with. Jesus was not only telling them, hey, I am the Son of God, but hey, I am the Son of Man who has all this dominion and all this power right here in chapter 13, or verse 13 of Daniel.
So the frequency of him using the Son of Man as his identifier.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, in my career, I'm associated with paramilitary rank structure organization. A general can take his title and say, well, yeah, I'm a general. A general can also say, I'm a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And in my experiences, people in those organizations that have authority, but still have the heart of the men or people that they lead, like to and often identify themselves still at that fundamental level.
Absolutely.
Hey, what do you do? Well, I'm a soldier. Come to find out later on the conversation with this person you just met, he might be a high-ranking officer, but he still has the heart of a soldier.
Absolutely.
A lot of times what I see in those organizations, those people still take care, in a very good manner, in a very good way, the people that they supervise. So I almost wonder if the Son of Man is chosen often to show his relationship still with all that he governs.
Right. And that's a good point. And it very well. I can't disagree with anything you said there. Like I said, we don't know that for sure, but yeah. That's a great point.
It shows his love and his desire to still be
Right.
part of and taking care of those that he's over.
Absolutely. Another point to that is, we know that Jesus was fully human and fully God. So this Son of Man title also shows his humanness, right? The fact that he is fully 100% human. He walked the earth, he ate, he drank, he spoke, he slept, he got tired, he, experienced all the emotions that we experience here on this earth too. And so that's another part of that kind of goes along with that is the fact too. Now a lot of people will tell you, well, Son of Man, when he says that, it shows right there that he's not really the Son of God. Right? He's saying, well, he's the Son of Man, he's part of us. If he's with us, he's us, then he can't be God, right? So like I'm going to say sometimes when I get into, I won't say arguments, as Brother Charlie teaches me, it's discussions. I get in discussions with atheists or non-believers, and yeah, they bring that point up. Well, look at this. And I'm like, no, that's not really. And I'll take them to Daniel 13 and show them this right here, and kind of try to open their eyes a little bit to it. But yes, again, it's not not arguing. Brother Charlie's right there. We're having discussions. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. That's a great point. Yep. Right. And then think about the prophecy. I mean, we're reading this prophecy right here, but what blows my mind is when you really sit and think about it. God knew this was going to happen before he spoke the words of creation into existence, right? He knew we were going to mess up. He knew we were going to need a way out. He knew that we were going to need saving in some way, that he was going to create this awesome creation, and it was going to be perfect for a little while, and then we were going to mess up. And we were going to have a way to be restored back to him because of his love for us. I don't know about y'all, but that just blows my mind and gives me chills every time I think about that. But the thing, like I say, and the thing is, the prophecy here that's coming to light is written hundreds of years before the actual events of Jesus showing up on the earth, which that blows my mind in that process also. But again, it had to happen. It was set out prophecy. God ordained it. He used Daniel to, lay out the prophecy. But again, and you talk about that point you had a while ago, Matthew, which is a great point because the best coaches that I've worked for as an athletic trainer are the ones that they tell you, okay, hey, we need to do this, this, and this, but then they're out there with everybody else painting the field, mowing the grass, laying chalk on the baseball field if we had a baseball game, right? They're the first ones out there doing it, right? And the ones that I've worked for that I've always had problems with or did not like were the ones that, all right, this needs to be done, and then walked off into the office or went off wherever and did something else. And yeah. But yeah, and that's why I always try to, hey, if I'm going to ask you to do something, I'm going to be right there along with you doing it, right? And that to me is the best way to lead. I mean, you got to lead by example. Because if you're not willing to get out there and chalk the field and move dummies around and everything else, then, why am I out here doing it if you're not going to do it, But anyway, that's a great point. I just want to point that out a while ago. That's some of the best, like I say, I respond well to that leadership. And I know a lot of people do too. So, where are we at here? 15. As for me, Daniel, my spirit within me was anxious. I would agree so. I think I'd be a little anxious too after seeing all this. And the visions of my head alarmed me. I approached one of those who stood there and asked him the truth concerning all this. So he told me and made known to me the interpretation of the things. These four great beasts, bless you, are four kings who shall arise out of the earth. So you got Daniel here after all this is said and done, right? He sees all the four beasts, the winds blow, the water separates, beasts start coming up out of the water. He sees all this. Then he sees the Ancient of Days and the court and the judgment. Sees one beast killed, the other one's given, prolonging their time for a while. And then he has the dream, the vision about Jesus, about Son of Man and dominion, and the dominion he was given, everlasting dominion shall not pass away. And then Daniel's talking, well, I was anxious and a little alarmed. I didn't really understand what was going on. So I walked up to one of the people there who were there at the court, and started talking to them and asked them, maybe maybe somebody will address this for me and answer some questions I got.
I'm like, who did he go up to?
Yeah, exactly. That was my question. Tell me, who did he just walk up to and start talking to? I mean, the Ancient of Days. I don't know that he approached the Ancient of Days. All right. But yeah, again, it talks about he just walks up to somebody. He stood there and he asked him. He approached one. Again, we don't know who he approached, but he approached one of them and just started asking, "Hey, I just saw all this stuff here, and what does this mean?" Right? If I'm in Daniel's shoes, I think I'm doing the exact same thing. Can somebody please tell me what I just saw here and what it all means? Yeah, but it's interesting here. Daniel's just kind of like, okay, I'm going to go ask somebody. All right. Verse 17, these four great beasts are four kings who shall rise out of the earth, but the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, forever, and ever. Then I desired to know the truth about the fourth beast, which was different from all the rest, exceedingly terrifying, with its teeth of iron and claws of bronze, and which devoured and broke in pieces and stamped what was left with its feet. And about the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn that came up, and before which 3 of them fell, the horn that had eyes and a mouth and that spoke great things and that seemed greater than its companions. It's funny, Daniel's like, yeah. I was really interested about that beast there too. I'm kind of with him. I think that, okay, yeah. Let's talk about that beast a little bit. That one was a little different than the rest of them that I saw there, right? let's let's discuss that one a little bit. As I looked, this horn made war with the saints and prevailed over them until the Ancient of Days came. And judgment was given for the saints of the Most High, and the time came when the saints possessed the kingdom. So what's going on here? Yes.
I think when we're young, that there's sometimes the question, and we want to know the future. Who am I going to marry? What college am I going to go to? What's my life going to be like? And yet we really can't handle knowing too much in the future. It's just too much. And here, for some reason, probably because of Daniel's depth of relationship with God, God was able to reveal this to him. And throughout this chapter, he says, I kept looking, I kept looking, I kept looking. And it's like that expression when it's like a train wreck that I couldn't turn away.
Right, exactly.
It's something that was even as horrible and traumatic as it is, he somehow couldn't look away.
Right.
And he kept looking and looking. And then you get down here to verse 15, and where he says that his spirit's distressed, he's alarmed. I mean, it's just overwhelming. And what do you do with that when you're in a situation where you are totally overwhelmed? And praise God, right? He shifts gears and he reassures Daniel, it's going to be okay.
Right.
You're all the saints are going to be saved forever and ever. You're going to be with me.
Right.
I'm still on my throne.
Absolutely.
And then he goes on and he adds more of the traumatic. It's not over, but he knew how much Daniel could take. And he knows how much we can take. And he stops in the middle and he reassures us, I'm still on my throne. I'm still in control here. We're still going to live for eternity with me. This, get back focused on who I am,
Right.
and what I'm going to accomplish
Amen. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Amen. Great point. Fantastic way to sum all that up. Because, yeah, you got just a little bit ahead of me. That's okay. I don't mind that. But the thing is, like Leslie just pointed out, through this whole thing, Daniel, again, he's worried, he's concerned, he starts asking questions. He sees this, and, two or three times in this, God steps in and says, hey, we win. All this is happening, right? It's going to happen. It may be a little scary. You may be worried about it. You may be scared about it. You may be whatever. But hey, in the end, we win, right? And as Leslie pointed out fantastically there, God does this two or three different times. He comes in and shows them, tells them, hey, yeah, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to let you know exactly what you're asking here. Because again, like she pointed out, that Daniel can handle. He knows how much Daniel can handle, and he's going to let him give Daniel exactly, what he's asking for there and what he can handle, and then at the same time reminding him, hey, this is all going to happen, and it's going to be. It may be bad for a while, and it may be crazy for a while, but hey, the end of the book is written. We win. Just like in Revelation, same thing. I mean, we know how this is all going to end, right? I mean, as crazy as the world is today, it's easy to get down sometimes, but at the same time, keep your eye on the goalpost because it hadn't moved, and we know who's going to win, right? And again, just like there, he's got the horns making war with saints, and it prevails over them until the Ancient of Days comes. And guess what? The Ancient of Days is going to come, and then judgment for the saints of the Most High, the time when the saints possess the kingdom, we're going to possess the kingdom, right? Yeah, it's going to be scary, it's going to be crazy, but hey, I'm going to show up, and we're going to win. Basically what he's telling Daniel there. Then you get to 23. Has the Ancient of Days intervened yet? Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that hadn't happened. Amen. Yes. And we have the authority of the word. Yep. Right. Exactly. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Amen. And like I say, my whole take on it, I know, everybody's, you know, pre-trib, post-trib, pre-millennial, all that stuff. Everybody tries to break it up, prophecy into, which way you believe and this and that and all that stuff. Bottom line is, again, this is just my opinion on it. Does it really matter? Exactly. Nobody knows. But then again, I've seen churches split over stuff like that. But at the same time, again, does it matter? If we're going to be there, are we going to be taken away? Are we going to be there for the tribulation to see all that? Are we going to be part of it? I mean, again, I don't know. We don't know. Like Bill just said, God, Matthew tells us we're not going to know, right? And we're just waiting for Jesus to come back. And we know how it ends. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Right. That's a great point. All right. Yes. Mhm. Absolutely. That's. Oh yeah. Yep. Yes. Be of good cheer. Amen. Amen. And again, I don't know how hard. I don't know about anybody else, but I know it's hard for me to rejoice in tribulation sometimes.
Well, also, it's like Pastor Bob said on Sunday that when the seals are open, do we want our families and stuff to go through that? And that stuck through me. So that's why we need to know what's going to happen.
Hmm.
Maybe not understand it all, but know, do we want this to happen to someone we love?
Right.
So that's why we need that's why I need to put it. One of the reasons to put it in here is you're gonna, wherever you feel like you're going to be as a Christian, do you want your family who do not, or friends who do not know Christ,
Hmm.
do you want them calling down on the rocks to bury them?
Right.
So like I said, that just stuck.
No, that's a great point. Hmm. You're exactly right. Let's see where we open on time. All right. 23 is where we're at? Yes. Verse 23. Thus he said, as for the fourth beast, so back to the fourth beast here, there shall be a fourth kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all the kingdoms. It shall devour the whole earth and trample it down, break it into pieces. As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings shall arise, and another shall arise after them. He shall be different from the former ones, and shall put down 3 kings. He shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change the times and the law. And they shall be given into his hand for a time, times, and half a time. But the court shall sit in judgment, and his dominion shall be taken away, to be consumed and destroyed to the end, and the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. Their kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey them. Here's the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts greatly alarmed me, and my color changed. but I kept the matter in my heart. So again, same thing like Leslie pointed out a while ago. We got the fourth beast. I mean, this he's going to come in. He's going to trample stuff down. They're going to 10 kings are going to arise one after another. There's going to be different ones. Then there's going to be one that arises, speaks words against the Most High. He wears out the saints of the Most High, changes times and laws. He's going to have this time for a time, times, and a time and a half. But as bad as all that sounds, the court's going to sit in judgment. That dominion's going to be taken away. It's going to be completely destroyed. And the saints of the Most High are going to live forever. That's a good point. I missed that this week. Yeah, it says, it just says in his first year, Daniel saw dreams, visions, he wrote them down and told the sum of the matter. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I need to do some looking on that. She just pointed out that he started out by saying he showed this to everybody, or told this to some people, but then here at the end it says he kept the matter in his heart. Yeah, maybe so. Hmm. Yeah, mine does too. In my heart. So, all right. Yes, ma'am.
And I know we didn't go over each one, but so in 23, at the end it says, it will devour the whole world, trampling and crushing everything in its path.
Mm-hmm.
It goes on to the 10 horns, the 10 kingdoms, and jots through. So are we still talking about, we're not still talking about Rome here, are we? Or are we still talking about Rome and after? Do you understand what
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yep.
I got it.
No. That's a good question, and one. That's. Um,
I'm just one of
it's
the ones that want to know it.
it's funny because I looked at that a little bit this week, and looked at different stuff, and then there was about a 50-50 split on whether or not some thought it was Rome still, some thought it was Satan having his time at the end right before he gets destroyed. So, and again, we don't know that. It's something to think about, something to look at. But bottom line is, does it really matter in the whole scheme of the prophecy? Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, right. Yeah. Right. That's a good point. Good. Keith.
The Roman Empire was basically defeated, I think, 500 or 600 AD,
Mm-hmm.
taken out. But I've read where commentators say that the Roman Empire, then it was kind of transferred to the Catholic Church, and they kind of run a quasi-empire. But the Roman Empire comes back again in the form of the European Union.
Right.
And that's what they say the end is looking on. That's what the
Okay.
Christ comes out of that European Union.
Right.
There were at one time.
I think that's right. Yeah, there were at one time. I don't know if there's still. I don't think there's still 10 now, but there was. Yeah. And again, like I say, bottom line is, we know who wins. We know where we're going. It's just a matter of when, right? That's okay. That makes a little more sense. Yeah. Maybe the fact that he didn't want everybody to know that he was a little scared of the whole thing, which, I mean, like I said. Huh? Yeah. All right. Well, that's chapter 7. We'll start chapter 8 next week. Any other questions, comments, anything before we wrap it up here? All right. Bill, would you close us in prayer, please?
I've got my, our niece and great niece, Erica and Emma, they're sick. They would have been here this morning, I think, so just keep them in prayer. Still Madison?
Yeah, Madison Osborne. Everything's going good there. Yeah, my dad, he got admitted to the hospital Wednesday. He's coming home today, but he's going to have an angiogram. Not real sure what's going on, but something is. So we'll figure that out as we go.